All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpires Association Zoom Lunch Clinic. My name is Jake Samp, and joining me today is Jason Vaith, and we're going to talk about some rules of the batter's box. So, specifically today, we're going to talk about hit by pitch and a specific type of batter interference where that is a batter interferes with a catcher who is making a play on a runner that is stealing. There are many different types of batter interference, and we're going to be covering those at various points throughout our clinics. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to Jason here quick as he works to get our first video pulled up here. And so I'm just going to talk about kind of what the hit batter rule is, what the purpose of it is, and those kind of things. So the general rule for a hit by pitch is that a ball is immediately declared dead or out of play. Anytime a pitched ball, and that's important that it's a pitched ball, it's not a thrown ball and it's not a batted ball, touches a batter. Now, there are two different things that can happen when we have a hit by pitch. The first thing that we can have is we can have an award of first base, and that does not matter the rules that you're working. The other alternative is we're going to keep the batter in the batter's box for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons could be the field or the batter failed to and it depends on the rule set that you're working, but it's the same concept. And I think the OBR and the NCAA definition is permit a pitched ball to touch them. And to roughly translate that, they did not make any attempt to avoid contact with the ball. So this is a pitch that's whether it's in the batter's box or not, that's really irrelevant. But there's a pitch and they don't make any movement to attempt to get away from the ball or to attempt to avoid being hit by the ball. This first video is about 2 years old. I'm trying to remember if Jason, you were working with me or if it was Matt that was doing this game with me. Anyway,
you ready for it, Jake?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's watch the video first. And then we can kind of break it down because we got a couple different things going on here. So this is an illegal infraction here where I have determined, and go ahead and just back it up because we'll bring in the discussion here later. In this case, we have the batter who has turned their front knee, in this case it's the left knee, and he's basically popped his knee into the path of the baseball. This is illegal in all rule sets. Some coaches will try to argue and say, well, it was in the batter's box. The batter's entitled to the batter's box. While that is true to some extent, you can't intentionally get into the path of the baseball. You want to back it up again, and we'll just kind of play it through a couple times. About 7 seconds, I think, is where it starts. Actually, so you see just the little hip turn. The mechanic on this, it's very simple. We call time. It doesn't matter what ensues. Time is always called when we have a hit by pitch. I immediately determine that this batter intentionally permitted the ball to touch him, and this is a college game, so there's a couple different rules that come into play. One of the rules being that, and we'll talk about the penalties here momentarily, but the penalty at the college level is it's an automatic strike. In NFHS, OBR, Legion, Amateur, we as umpires are going to determine ball or strike based on what most likely would have happened. So if you got a pitcher or if you got a batter that sticks his elbow out and gets hit at the top of the strike zone, and we're doing an OBR game or we're doing a high school game, and you determine that but for the batter intentionally contacting that baseball, we would have had a strike. We're gonna call a strike. So I immediately call time. This, for me, based on the rules as they're written, it was cut and dry. So I immediately I point to the batter's box, stay here. And we have a situation and a conversation with the head coach about this. So Jason, why don't you just back it up and just play it all the way through once quick?
So you must have been 2 strikes on the batter, Jake, based on.
No, I think there was. I want to say we were like 1-2. This was a while ago.
Yeah, I know you're working.
So,
because they throw the ball around, so I assume there was 2 strikes before when the pitch was thrown, because I see him throw the ball around there. And
yeah, so I guess we did have 2 strikes. So a couple things here to note. And Jason, I don't think this isn't you. This is somebody else that I was working with.
No.
I have sufficiently figured that out. And so if you want to back it up about halfway through. So the coach and I are having a conversation, and the coach's complaint is it's that how can you make that call? The rule is stupid. Well, my personal opinion is that the rule is stupid. I don't necessarily like the rule, but that is completely irrelevant. Go and stop it right here. So my partner's coming down here to get ears on this. The hustle factor I don't think is necessary at this point, simply because this coach, who, both my partner and I, we have a great relationship with him. He's not very animated. We're just having a conversation. And it's not heated at all. But my partner starts drifting down, which is exactly what we want to do. And there's going to be a video here coming up from this past weekend that kind of shows some of that as well. So go ahead and kind of play this through. So the manager and I here, we're just having a conversation. I mean, we don't need to necessarily shoo the manager and the head coach away at this point, because I think we didn't need to get to that point that early. So the general rule to show from this video is that a batter may not permit a touch ball to contact them intentionally. And this is one of those cases of, I think, clear intent. Jason, any thoughts?
No, I think you handled it really, really well. That was exactly right. I said, regardless of our personal feelings about the rule, we are there to enforce the rules as written. So you did exactly what you needed to do.
And I think that there's a better way to fix this problem, frankly, at all levels. And I see this isn't called enough, in my opinion. We tend to pass on what I'll call contentious calls. But this one was really straightforward. I can remember back to Junior Legion State tournament last year. We had the bases loaded, and I was sitting in C position, so I had the best look at this. And I mean, it was the perfect chicken wing in the strike zone. And I mean, you would have thought the world was ending, and it was 100% the perfect call. You could not have nailed it any better. And yeah, it's people don't know the rule. They just think that ball hits batter, it's automatic go to first base. That is not the case. There's a lot more that goes into it. You want to do the second video, unless we got any questions. All right. So before we hit play on this,
Sam, I had a quick question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So obviously in college, the decision making is taken out of it. It's automatic strike. But in the other rule sets, like for instance, that chicken wing, a lot of times that pitch is going to be high. Are you just being especially generous in that situation, giving the strike because you don't know the final outcome in that situation? Or are you just still going to call it as you think it was?
I'm still going to call it as I think it was. Is it one of these fastballs where it's, going straight and it's got no chance of getting into the strike zone? Or is it a 12-6?
Yeah.
If it's a 12-6 curveball and he gets it at the top of the zone, I mean, it's so obvious that, it's going to be in the strike zone. And so it part of it depends on the pitch, depends on the location. And then you just have to umpire the play.
Okay. No, makes sense.
All right. So with this play, this is so this is a 3-man game. I am personally U3 in this situation. And crew chief. And so that the crew chief side of stuff, it does not it's not that big of it, it's not that impactful. But if stuff goes down, I'm the guy that's taking care of it in this situation, and I'm expected to step up and lead the crew in administering whatever rules, penalties, anything like that. So it's important to know what the temperature of the game is in this situation. And it's a 3-1 game. We haven't had any home runs. We have not had any red flag plays. Basically, a red flag play would be like a home run, a big bat flip, which they're having us crack down on at the college level this year. Anything that, and I hate saying the phrase unwritten rules of baseball, but something that goes in and breaks one of the unwritten rules of baseball can be a red flag play. And so we as umpires, and it does not matter the level, we have to be aware of what's going on. So this is as cool and calm of a game as you can get at this point. Jason, I'll have you just oh no, sorry, I'm on the wrong video. This is you want to go to the other video since I've already introduced the other video.
Yeah, which one you want me to grab, Jake?
Grab the third one that I sent, the 2.5 minute one, the hit by pitch with injury.
Yep.
Yes, please. That's the one that I'm looking for.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize that this was just the mechanics of hit by pitch video.
Yep. Okay. You ready?
Okay. So take everything that I just said and we're gonna apply it to this. So I'm still U3 in this situation. We have a ball that hits the batter. Thankfully, it caught the helmet. You hate seeing these back it up. And I want to first cue off of the pitcher's reaction. Because as umpires in this situation, we need to call time and immediately, our antennas have to go up. We have to start evaluating what's going on here. And so you have the pitcher who immediately, as soon as that ball is released, he knows something's wrong. He's going, oh crap. And his whole body language is, I cannot believe that just happened. Oh crap. And you immediately know based on the body language, this was by no means intentional. Okay. So the next thing, and I realize that there's no sound on these videos. If there is sound on a video, we usually take the sound out simply because it's not useful. Okay. I will tell you, since I was on the field for this, there was no one was chirping from either dugout. No one was, I mean, everyone was just quiet. All the attention was on the player and making sure that the player was taken care of. So my first cue is I want to see what the pitcher's doing. Okay. Obviously, I know that the head coach is coming out. If there's a trainer, they're coming out to check on the player. So that player is taken care of. So my concern is, what's the pitcher doing? Do I have anything to show that this was intentional? We didn't have anything in the day before. And I mean, we had a walk off. Well, it wasn't a walk off, but we had a grand slam to get to the 10-run rule. And I mean, there was no bat flip, no nothing. I mean, it was just as cool and calm of the game the day before. We had nothing from prior games either. So I'm looking at the pitcher. The pitcher clearly indicates, this is a ball that slipped. There's nothing there. The dugout's not saying anything because the dugout can be a cue as well. And so now what we have is a conversation. The pitcher or the batter, the head coach, and the trainer are at first base. Now I understand why we don't have video of this. Jason, you want to pause here quick? I understand why we don't have video of this. So I'm just going to kind of describe what's going on. U1 in this situation is standing about 15-ish feet from first base. He's got ears on it. I mean, and he's just there. He has established a presence in case anything pops off in that area. You'll notice kind of if we back up about 15 seconds. You'll notice that I'm establishing a presence in the infield working area. The plate umpire's out between the plate and the mound. The U1 actually comes into the infield a little bit, and so we kind of take up, I don't want to say take up a position, but we get into a position to de-escalate any potential situations that come up. And that's the key with hit by pitch. And we're going to talk about hit by pitch de-escalation here in our next video. So why don't you go back to about where we were at before? About just say one, keep going a little bit more. So eventually the trainer and yeah, right there is fine. Eventually the trainer, coach, and first base, or the batter are at first base. They're doing a test and whatnot. So now we're still establishing a presence and our antennas are up. I'm having a conversation with the plate umpire. Because number one, the plate umpire, he had a couple questions, and we have some special rules in college baseball that directly affect a situation like this. And so I'm now walking over to kind of, it appears that they're wrapping up everything over there. I'm just checking to see, we good? Do we need to invoke the special rule that we have here at the college level, which we did not. And the player was able to return to play. And so the big thing here, and then obviously, the home plate umpire granted the pitcher a warm-up pitch, which was one of the things that he had asked about. And so it's one of those situations you hate seeing it happen, but we have to know how to handle it. And it is very safe to say that if a crew gets immediately on top of a red flag situation like this, what we're doing is we are preventing, and we're already preventative umpiring. We're preventing, the situation from escalating, and it's just good umpiring. Jason, you got anything else on that specifically?
No, I don't. Does anybody have any questions?
When you're bringing up the special rule, are you referring to like when the trainer requests to remove the player, and if deemed the player is still eligible to play, deemed they're not concussed or whatever?
The concussion reentry rule.
Okay,
yes, that was what we were discussing.
Yep, I just want to make sure I was on the same page.
Yep. And I'm not going to go into that just because that's, that is a specific college rule, and we're not like, we're not gearing this towards college umpires, but yeah, that's the rule that we were referring to. So, all right, Jason, let's talk about a little bit of preventative umpiring when it comes to hit by pitch.
Okay, you ready for the next video here, Jake?
Yeah, the one that I totally jumped the gun on. Absolutely. So, one of the things with hit by pitch, as I said, is the more proactive of a response we have, the better off we can be. So this home plate umpire he's 23, and he is a phenomenal umpire. He was the two guys that I was with were just top of the line, top tier guys, and I'd walk onto the field any day with them. And it was a true pleasure to be on the field with those guys for 3 games. So this home plate umpire, he is just out of pro school.
So they both
graduated.
Guys,
yes. Yep. Both. So the plate umpire in the previous video, and this plate umpire are both pro school guys. Joe went in 21 and Adam's gone twice. And so he just finished up pro school again. And this is more of how to handle it. This is going to be a very pro school way of handling this situation. And so I'm going to show it, then I'm going to kind of talk about, this isn't always the way to handle it. It's the way that they teach you at pro school, but it's a really good way to handle, especially like if you're getting toward, like, you have a red flag situation or something like that. It's a really good way to start off. So go ahead and let's hit it. So we got to hit inside. Immediately we determine, no, there was no intent to be hit by the pitch. What I typically use as a rule of thumb, and Vaith, I will let you chime in as well. In a situation where the batter is rolling, and this is a situation where he rolls, he's doing this. If the batter rolls to me directly like that, that's rolling at me as the plate umpire. Time, that's a hit by pitch, and he's going to first base. He is making an attempt to avoid being hit by that pitch. If he rolls away from, or if he rolls to the plate or out, and they'll try to come out and then back. Time, stay here. This is I think this is absolutely correct. Send him to first base. Jason, what are you looking for in this situation? Are you kind of the same, rolling at the plate umpire versus rolling away?
100%. Yes. One thing I look for when they roll into me, that I might not always give is I want the foot like we talked about earlier, because they can still roll into me and throw arms out. I don't always like that, but yeah, I'm looking for the same stuff you are. I love what he does here. Comes out in front of the plate right away. This is something that I wasn't aware of until I started getting into the college ranks. But I really like this plate umpire instantly. It's time, clears the catcher, gets out in front of the dirt just in case. Obviously the batter and pitcher are looking at each other right now. He's got ears on and making sure nothing's being said or anything like that. And if need be, he can help escort the batter down first baseline. If need be, he does in a situation because temperature is still okay here. He's got a presence out in front. But this is just a very, very well done play, and something that, like I said, I had never seen until I got into the college game, but I really like it because I can see how it can help de-escalate situations by getting your presence out there. And I always, as he does here, I always walk into baseball as a pitcher after they hit a guy with one. They get the ball, always win.
Jason, you make a great point about walking the ball to the pitcher, and doing this stuff. What I see a lot of times is guys will basically stand right next to the batter and kind of walk them down to first base. I'm not a huge fan of that because I want to create a little bit of distance and separation. And I don't want to, I don't, the batter knows how to walk to first base. I don't need to walk with him.
Right.
I want to get the baseball to the pitcher, and I'm gonna quote Larry Gallagher. Give him a new baseball. It is bad luck to use the same baseball. So get a fresh baseball. And just be aware. It's common sense, fair play, and just being aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
The
only thing I would caution against is maybe we have our back to the batter here right away. I like to keep eyes on him a little bit just to make sure, have like swivel, watch pitcher and batter both, and God forbid, the pitcher goes after the batter or something silly down the line. So I don't like to turn my back quite this soon, but I understand he's got to feel for the temperature of the game. I don't. I was just watching the video. So
the other thing too that I will add from the pro school mentality is they like aggressive on these and umpiring aggressively.
Yeah.
If there's a video of me handling a hit by pitch situation, I'm doing exactly what he's doing, but I'm not as aggressive with it. If it's just a routine, hit by pitch. There's
the other
there is such a
Jake, is they have more eyes on it. They can probably, in a pro school, they're working 3 or 4 man. They have more eyes. We're working 2 man all the time. That's what I like to see. Keep my eyes on things. That's the only thing I would say there.
Jason, you make a really good point. Go back to the start of the video. So I'm let's see here. No, I'm at first base.
Yeah, you're U1
in this one. Yeah, I'm U1 because this is game 3. And this game ended up going 15 innings. So watch what U3 does here. He immediately instinctively takes a couple steps in, and all he's doing is getting ears on the pitcher and getting ears on the dugout. If we're in the 2 umpire system, first off, we're going to be on the B side of the field. And right now, U3 is on the C side. We're going to be on the other side of the field. But the concept is still the same. Take a couple steps in. Get ears on what's going on there. Actually, sorry, we are R1, R2, so we're going to be in the C position. I thought we were R1 only. And so this hit by pitch loads the bases. But U3 does a great job just taking a couple steps and reading the play. And I'm off camera, but I'll tell you, I take a couple steps in because I want to get ears on that dugout. And I want to really know what's going on in that dugout. That's why U3 is taking some steps in. We're umpiring this play. The ball might be dead, but we still have to umpire. And this is I think really good umpiring for a hit by pitch situation. We don't need to be as aggressive as the plate umpire is in this situation, but we still need to do what the plate umpire is doing. So, I mean, what he's doing here, that's relatively okay. There's some others that he hustles a little bit more on, which is okay. But we still want to get out there, establish a presence. And having a good presence, it can prevent a lot of nonsense.
Right. Yeah.
Any questions on that? That's kind of the rundown of how to handle the mechanics side of it.
I got a question for you, Jake, and it's more of a hypothetical.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So last night we were doing a game, and I was doing the bases, and I could hear the one team warming up, and the conversation went something like this. Keep in mind, nothing came to fruition. Something along the lines, will you hit him? Yeah, I'll throw it right at him. That's basically the exchange I heard. Obviously, the kid comes in the pitch, never hits a batter, but in the event he does hit a batter, are you then getting together with home plate saying, hey, I heard him down in the pen saying, I'm going to throw at the guy? Are you getting together to determine what to do?
Yeah.
You would?
Absolutely, because it is a violation of the rules to intentionally throw at somebody.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I would, and I wish we had a couple others, I wish we had Dan and Rust and Connor here today. the way that I would approach a hit by pitch situation, it's got to be obvious, especially at the level that most of the people that are watching this video are working. It's got to be super obvious. You know, home run, ball at the head, that's obvious. Okay, that's pro school. You know, there's certain, there's certain obvious situations. And so if it falls into that obvious category, yes, absolutely. In this situation, and we're not going to name names. I know where you were at. I know what you were working last night. Okay. In that situation, absolutely get together because you have additional information that could determine, maybe the plate guy's thinking, hey, I got a warning here. And then you come and say, hey, he was saying in the bullpen that he was going to throw at somebody. Okay, now we got motive. And I think you can really substantiate an objection or an ejection at that point. Bob Davidson, longtime major league umpire, and this was his philosophy on throwing at. If you're unsure of whether to eject or not, warn. Don't eject unless you are absolutely positive that this was intentional, or one of those obvious situations where it's like, I have to eject. But when in doubt, warn. A warning is a great tool because in certain, I think in Legion Ball, and I could be wrong, but I believe high school is the same way. If you warn and you have a throwing at situation again, both the pitcher and head coach are going. I know in Legion Ball it is because that's OBR based. And OBR is if you have a warning and then they throw at, it's the pitcher and the coach going. And so I would, don't quote me on it for the high school side, but I would be fairly confident that the head coach is going too. And so you're never in a bad spot for warning in this situation. And next week when we're all back together again, we can certainly rediscuss this because we're going to talk about some more batters box rules and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a great question. I think in that situation, getting together is 100% appropriate. And under the standards, at least at the college level, we can certainly get together on that. So they just added that, I think, last year. All right, Jason, let's do what everybody thinks of when we say batter interference. All right, this is the classic batter interference. Batter will swing at a pitch. Is this you calling batter interference, Faith?
This is Faith, and it's early in his college career. It's the first time he's ever called the college game. It is not very crisply done. How's that? It's a learning moment.
You sold it.
And
you got it right.
Oh, I got it right.
You absolutely got it right.
It wasn't done very
well. I was gonna say, I was trying to figure out who it was because I had it mislabeled in our video database, and I'm like, I thought I did this game, and then I realized I'm like,
you are. That's you right there.
Okay, I thought I was on the basis for this game, and I'm like, was I on the plate for this? And I'm like, nah, there's an actual pullover on the dish, and I don't wear pullovers on the dish.
And that guy's a little more thickness to him than what you got, Jake. That's on the dish. So yeah, it's not.
I wish I was 2 steps closer to the mound in this situation. Just two-man mechanics wise, I wish I was a little bit closer and closer to the plate and closer to the mound to my right on the screen to the left. I'm a little deep in this situation. So we have a swing and miss. and the batter is out over home plate. Now, I always describe batter interference as a sort of strict liability offense. You're out over the home plate. You are presumed to have impeded, hindered, and obstructed the catcher in his ability to throw the ball to second base. I'm going to say this a couple times. Contact is not required. Contact is not required. Contact is not required in any rule set.
And Jake is being so pointed about that because that is the first argument you're going to get from a coach. Every single time I have made this call, it doesn't matter if it's at the teener level, legion level, high school, college, amateur. First question I get out of the third base coach about, well, did he touch him? No, he doesn't have to. It doesn't matter. And here, yes, here he did. But even if he doesn't, he just has to impede or hinder the catcher. Baseball contact is not required.
And I mean,
The
my
other
recollection is that was the first question that came out of the third base coach's box in this exact play.
Yeah, 100%.
Did he touch him?
Yep.
So,
first question I get asked every time. Did he touch him?
right.
yeah,
So,
the other
and-
question that comes up is, does there have to be a throw? And the answer is no.
Correct.
Not.
There does not have to be a throw because impeded, hindered, or obstructed. Well, if the catcher couldn't make a throw, he was impeded, and I mean hindered and obstructed. And so literally, like, I mean, you hit all three, and you only need one. You need impeded, hindered, or obstructed. Well, you get all three in that situation because he couldn't even throw the ball.
Right. And
So yes, Brad, you make a great point. There does not even have to be a throw either.
And penalty here, guys. So this was not strike three on this pitch. It was strike one. It was 2-0 count. The pitch came in. Penalty here, batter is out. R1 is returning to first base. But hypothetically here, Jake, what if R1 had been thrown out at second base?
I would be flipping my timer to the upright position, and I would be jogging to take a position in the outfield between innings. Because with two strikes by rule, both the batter and the runner are out.
Right. But if it wasn't, just saying, if we were just this exact term, they had thrown, they completed it, they threw the guy out a second somehow magically, then we disregard the interference. We get the strike.
Yep.
R1 is still out. We just go to a 2-1 count.
Yep. This is a delayed dead ball.
Yep.
And so what determines whether the batter is out, if it's not strike three, is whether the runner is out. If the runner's out, we're going to ignore the interference. If the runner is safe, we're going to enforce the interference, and we're going to place R1 back at first base, and the batter will be declared out. If it's two strikes and the runner's safe, runner's out, batter's out. We talked about this video last week. Just another good video to show as far as a runner being out. And ironically, this is different year, same teams, different sites.
Same home plate.
Is that the same good looking umpire on the plate?
Sure is. Looks a little skinnier this year. Good job for that guy. Whatever he's doing working.
So again, pitch, runners out over the plate. I guess it was a different team.
No, same two teams.
No, but I'm
Just the other
saying
team,
that who it went against.
Yeah.
It went against the other team as opposed to the first video. But I mean, clearly, we have a bad throw. I mean, it's quite obvious that the catcher was impeded, hindered, and obstructed. In this situation, guys out over the plate, and I mean the ball's, way offline. Did we have contact on this, Vaith?
We actually did not have contact, but I mean we had hindered and impeded. And the best part about it is I get the exact same question from this coach right here that I got in the previous video from the coach. So same first question. Was there contact? No.
You will always, they will always ask, was there contact? it's one of those misconceptions. Go get batter interference. Nothing. And I was a catcher. It frustrated me when batter interference did not get called. Okay. Enforce the rules. You hear Jason, Dan, Connor, Russ, and I sit here and we say, enforce the rules. Enforce the rules as they're written. We don't get to pick and choose what rules we enforce. If we have a violation, we have to call it. And know your rule book. Know your rule book terminology. So I'm coach. Jason just made that call. Jason did how is that interference? He didn't the catcher didn't touch the batter. How's that interference?
Coach, your batter hindered and impeded the catcher's ability to throw that ball down second base. Therefore, we have batter.
So now I go and I realize that this is last year's book, but they didn't change the rule.
Right.
A batter is out when, let me find it here because I'm almost certain that, and this is the college verbiage. I don't have the OBR book or high school book in front of me. The batter intentionally or unintentionally interferes with the catcher's fielding or throwing by stepping out of the batter's box or making any other movement that hinders a defensive player's action at home plate. So now I'm the coach and I go back and I pull that out of the rule book. Well, he hindered and he interfered with the catcher's ability to make a play because he was out of the batter's box. Jason just used rule book terminology to back up his call. That's perfect. Okay. You cannot sit and argue with Jason because he said he impeded, hindered, and obstructed the catcher's ability to make a play on the runner. Well, he made a movement that hindered the defensive player's action. He's using rulebook terminology. Now, the impedes, hinders, or obstructs, that's OBR terminology, but it's still the same, and it's very similar in other rule sets. Yes, I do keep rule books in the door of my car. Absolutely.
But Jake, just to compound that, I admittedly, early on in my umpiring career, I didn't spend as much time in the rule book as I should have learning, getting all that terminology gleaned. But I will tell you that it makes your job a lot easier to defend yourself. You can quote the rule book to them, like Jake said, they'll go back and look. They for sure. Brad, you coached for a number of years. An umpire told you a rule, I'm sure you went back and looked to make sure it was in there and he wasn't just making stuff up. Because believe it or not, some guys will do that occasionally. So you guys go back. Go ahead, Jake.
I will tell a very good story to bounce off what you just said. This weekend was my first weekend that I had replay. And it was, I had a great crew. We had a lot of fun. We had a couple interesting situations and we handled them. And it was, I will walk onto the field with those two guys any day of the week and twice on Sunday. They were an absolute treat to work with, and we had a lot of fun as a crew, and everyone handled their business. We had a potential replay situation, and we got together. And it was a fair foul before the base. Okay. That's not reviewable under NCAA rules. And so we're conferencing, and I get, so we determine as a crew that this is not reviewable. So I'm like, all right, cool. I tell the calling umpire, I said, all right, I'm going to go take care of the coach. And we're going to move on. So I grab the coach at the 45. I say, Coach, by rule, that is not reviewable. The rule is that a ball that bounces before a fielder or the base is not reviewable. He's like, okay, thanks. And he literally walks into the dugout. No, I'm U1 in this situation. They're in the third base dugout. So I got the perfect look at this. And I see him leaning up against the barrier at Augustana. Deciding if a batted ball is fair or foul, the ball must first touch the ground or a fielder beyond the initial position of the first or third baseman. He literally went right into the dugout and pulled the rule book out to make sure we got it right. Know your rule book. If you know the rules, that will build a lot of credibility. Our crew gained a lot of credibility because we just said, you know, it bounced in front of the fielder. It bounced in front of the base. We can't review that. And he goes into the rule book, and that's the rule. Now that signals the coach, hey, these guys know what they're doing. Rule knowledge builds credibility. And credibility is what can really help an umpire sell those tough calls. Because we gotta sell tough calls sometimes too. But if you know the rules, you know how to apply them, and then a coach goes into the rule book and goes, oh, he pretty much just quoted the rule to me. Makes you look like $1 million. So, anything else, guys? Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And we'll see you next week.